and welcome to another Trans in the City Tea Break podcast. I'm absolutely delighted that this podcast is part of launching our Trans in the City Student Ambassador Scheme. This is a scheme I am so excited about and feel really honoured to be leading and spearheading this exciting development, where we're going to be working with students from across the UK, anyone over the age of 18 who is trans, non-binary or gender diverse and in any form of education. If they're interns, apprentices, if they're at university, technical college, we want to support them and we want to connect them with some of the biggest organisations across the country, as well as other opportunities. Wherever their career aspirations are, we want to open doors for them. I'm absolutely delighted to be meeting today with Rory and Sagar. I'm going to go to Rory now to introduce himself.
Thank you, Sarah. So my name is Rory. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm a client partner at a company called RMP Enterprise. So to do it the formal way, our mission statement is to inspire young people to take the first step in their career. So we are kind of linking up employers with young people from all backgrounds, whether they're looking for an apprenticeship, an internship, a placement, or a graduate job opportunity, and try and ensure that everyone gets that first step in their career. I came into contact with Trans in the City about 12 months ago through a client I've got a really great relationship with, who introduced me to the amazing work that everyone at Trans in the City are doing. And so for the last 12 months, we've been trying to work out how we as a business can best support them and amplify their message.
And we're so excited and feel really lucky that you're on board and going to be working with us and supporting this scheme. Thank you, Rory. Over to Sagar.
Hi, thank you. I'm Sagar and my pronouns are he, him. And I am currently doing an MA in Interaction Design at London College of Communication, UAL. And I was I got the opportunity to do the graphic design work and also the identity for the Student Ambassador program under Trans in the City, which is exciting. And I hope there's more of this collaboration so that I can be part of the cause that Trans in the City is. Yeah.
Love that. I absolutely love that. And I have to say, we had some incredible design submitted to us through these students. And it just goes to show the talent that's out there. And part of the joys that the student ambassador is going to be is going to be linking that, making that pipeline where these talented individuals have direct connections to organisations and businesses across the UK. We know that trans, non-binary, gender diverse, young adults and students have already overcome an awful lot in their lives. They may have faced bullying, they may have faced their identities not being validated in schools, they may have experienced all sorts of things, and statistics do show that the chances are that's had an implication on their education thus far. And I think that's where the Student Ambassador Scheme really has a strength as far as supporting those individuals. Sadly, we can't undo the harm that's been done. We can't make it disappear. But what we're really hoping to do is that to kind of open some doors and build some bridges with these individuals and give them a bit of a step that they've missed out on so far. So Rory, tell us a little bit about how the work that RMP does fits in with that kind of concept with our Student Ambassador Scheme.
Yeah, definitely. So as a business, we try and make sure that we're providing access for students from all backgrounds to take that first step in their career. But ultimately, we know that students from different backgrounds have different prospects with different companies and different chances of taking that first step in their career. I think a really powerful stat I've seen is that trans and non-binary students, unfortunately, are 12% less likely to secure a graduate opportunity than their non-gender diverse peers. So whilst as a commercial business, our aim is to obviously work with companies to help them attract talent, we also have a responsibility to try and support individuals that maybe need that more equitable support in finding that first step in their career. So as a company, we do a lot of work with businesses on how they attract talent, one of which is we recruit 1,200 students every year to work for us as student brand ambassadors. It's an amazing job. They're paid above minimum wage to promote employers and help just widen access to those different streams and help students get that job. So when we look at, for example, Trans in the City and the Student Ambassador Program, it's so important because we know from the work we do that you're so much more likely as a university student to apply to a job if you see someone there who looks or thinks like you, or who can give you their experience on a peer level, as opposed to looking at someone who maybe has been in that company for 30 years and is at a very different place in their career. So student brand ambassadors are so important because they bridge the gap from an employer in a company that maybe feels very far away and quite removed from what you do and what you expect, and helping make you realize actually this is a place where you're welcome, where not only are you welcome, but you're actively encouraged to apply. So I think the Student Brand Ambassador Program is so important for showing that pathway to students, especially if we know that they're from an underrepresented background and therefore already less likely to get a job there in the first place.
Absolutely. It's that if you can't see it, you can't be it. It's that principle. And I think you're so right. And I think that building those connections. So the way we're going to be doing that is we have a Discord server where students will have access to, and that's going to be used a bit like a notice board, similar to our Student Ambassador LinkedIn page as well. So organizations, companies, businesses can send trans in their city notices that they want to put up there. And that may be events, it may be job opportunities. As well as that, we're going to be working with these organisations to create insight days where students will be able to go to a place that is a representative of their chosen career or the career they may be looking into. And they'll be able to go and have a day at an organisation and see what a day is like. They'll be welcomed by people, they'll get food, I'm sure, and they'll just get a little bit of an idea about what it's like. And you're right, then that then builds those connections, Rory, with people who, like you said, maybe at the early points of their career, and they can literally talk to them about their experiences and how they've gotten to where they've gotten. And again, keep those doors open, which is so, so important. So Sagar, as a student, what do you think about this scheme? How do you see this kind of benefiting students?
Oh, I think it's amazing what you guys are doing, because I feel even looking around my campus, there's so much diversity because there's a lot of students, mainly international students, and they're coming from the countries that doesn't necessarily have the freedom that this country offers in a way. So it becomes even more important for them to sort of know that they're being seen in a way and also accepted, and there's like opportunities open for them that they can actually aspire and also have their career set in a way. So I think it's amazing that you're creating like a safe space for them where they can be who they want to be, because chances are they've not had that yet, and it's difficult for everyone to sort of feel like they're not valid. So validation is important. So I think that's amazing that you guys are trying to validate people. And yeah, so
That's such a valuable point. Thank you. It's very, very true, and potentially not something I've worked with a lot of international students in the past, but I hadn't put that into context when it comes to a Trans in the City scheme, and that's absolutely daft of me, really. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I think that's so valid, and we're really looking forward to having some student ambassadors from UAL on board.
yeah.
So yeah, that's going to be really keen. So Saga, back to you really. We're going to, at the end of this podcast, give a little sneak peek on the student ambassador designs that you've been working on. So just tell people kind of what went into that, and what made you come up with the designs that you used. There's a particular slide that I can see in my head where you've got the design and then you've got lots of arrows pointing it to kind of how you came up to those bits. So just talk us through a little bit about how you came up with it, and you know, I'd love to hear. You know, you've very passionately spoken about why you think the scheme is important, but is that mainly your reason as to why you decided to submit a design, or what made you kind of think, oh yeah, that's something I want to see if I can do?
Oh, I think before, when I applied, I did know that it's with the Trans in the City.
Okay.
It was right in the title, and it was something that I wanted to get involved in. So it is something close to my heart. I am an ally, so it is important for me to sort of have that sort of work. Like work is work, but at the same time, I need to do something that's good in a
Love
way.
that.
So it makes
Allyship's a verb, isn't it? You know,
yeah.
as allies, it's a doing word, and we've got to be active in that. Love that.
Yeah,
So tell us a
yeah.
bit about that design.
Oh yeah, so I have my slides in front of me so that I can look at it.
Perfect.
So,
You're
yeah.
well prepared.
Yeah. So the brief that I got from you you guys were basically it is a sanctuary for people to express themselves, and it's also like a support system where they can flourish and academically, personally, and socially. So it becomes like a community in sorts. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so that became my keywords to sort of ideate on for the forms, and pretty much it was not that difficult because it's like diversity is something you should seek out instead of closing yourself in. So I just looked at all the symbols of that's been used by the community as sort of in past, where they've sort of looked at a symbol and sort of identified themselves like this symbol could be us in a way. And there's also a lot of history of some symbols being a little bit controversial at some point of time, so maybe not using them. And then there's some symbols that were reclaimed by the community.
Yeah.
That's like a strong statement in itself. So I was looking at everything in that sense to not come off like in any way offensive, because you have to be really really sensitive about using symbols because it could mean a lot of things to a lot of people. The context is very important. So yeah, so a couple of keywords to start me off, and then a couple of them were basically warm, playful, friendly, inclusive, sense of belonging, and diverse. And I was really keen on not using any gender-based symbols because we know that it's fluid. It's also something that's constantly evolving. So we should not be put into a box of using symbols that could mean put us in a box. So maybe use something that's a little bit more abstract could help. So I went with a, a hexagon, which is a geometrical hexagon symbol for safe space and has been constantly used by community. So I've used that as a metaphor, and also it sort of shows a hive, and hive is something you associate with teamwork and cooperative nature in a way. So I think I went with that. And then the overall I think the overall typography stays same with Trans in the City because I wanted the the association to be really strong because this is a subset of the main parent logo of Trans in the City. The font remains the same, and the colors have been borrowed from the trans flag. So that also becomes like a very strong association to the community. And overall, this is like a minute thing that I like to add, which is making it look soft and approachable in a way. Like if it has like really chamfered corners and stuff, it would look like you can approach this. It's like a friendly and warm identity in a way. And then overall it has a badge sort of form to it, which talks about the ambassador program in itself. So yeah, that was the main idea. But at the same time, I'm keeping in mind that it is something that needs to be timeless and also in a way that it's going to be used for a couple of years and more, I hope, so that it sort of stays.
I hope to.
I also hope it does
I
really well.
could see Rory's face at certain parts of that when you were going through it, and
Yeah.
I just think having seen it written down and then hearing you talk about it, it's a whole other level, and it's just everything you said stands so perfectly for what we're trying to do. One of the things I'm really looking forward to is organising curated events specifically for our student ambassadors, where they can get together, they can meet one another. It's all very well doing it online, but if we can do some things in person, I just think that's also really important. So that sense of community, that sense of belonging, which maybe they haven't had that sense up until this point. Again, everything you've said, it just brings home why actually this scheme is so important, actually. And all of that is embedded into your logo, which is remarkable, actually. Absolutely remarkable. Rory, what do you think? How do you think it sounds?
I mean, I just think you spoke so well there about, well, the reasoning behind it. But I think for me, it also just illuminates, like, often as people, going about your day-to-day life, you see logos and you see branding and imagery and you think, well, that's just whatever. But actually, there's so much thought and time gone in behind it. And I think it just sounds like such a thorough process you've gone through. So I also can't wait to see it, but it sounds really, really amazing.
I think there's so much hope actually in what you said. And I don't want to be cliche here, but that's what strikes me is there's hope for, again, I don't want to be patronizing, but looking at the students that are out there now, looking at their ethos, looking at where their moral compass, and looking at actual, for so many, that allyship journey that they're on, and look at where it brings you. People just like you doing something absolutely incredible and contributing to a groundbreaking scheme, which hopefully is going to benefit the lives of many across the UK. Genuinely honoured that and chuffed actually, but you submitted that design in the first place, and I really hope that Trans in the City can continue to work with you, and that you'll actually, I really hope you get some joy in seeing your design really come to life in our branding and in as we put things out as well. So Rory, hopefully you're going to be amplifying these. You'll be amplifying this logo yourself. Sort of, what is it that you've touched on? The statistics and why RMP, what RMP does first and foremost is incredibly important, and the fact that again you're acknowledging the challenges that gender diverse young people have already faced, and how you want to get involved in that. So how do you see kind of RMP amplifying the voice, amplifying the scheme, the student ambassador scheme? How do you kind of see that working from an RMP point of view?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, really good question. So when students interact with us across our various platforms, when we're out on campus or online, we try to make sure we have a really accurate idea of how the student demographics are made up of the students that use our platforms, so that we can best support them. So when students sign up to our website, for example, we capture lots of data, including sensitive data around things like gender, and that allows us then to be really clear and understand who our audience is and what support we need to give them. So the next stage of that is working with really important organizations like Trans in the City, so that as part of our sort of DE&I efforts and our CSR work, how can we promote your events? How can we ensure that the students that use our platforms, that have let us know this really important information about themselves, how do we use that and set them up with events that are going to help inspire them to go to events where they can meet like-minded employers, where they can then meet individuals or charities like yourselves who will then support them on their career. So a lot of it is going to be using our online platforms, so utilizing Rent My Placement to promote events, to send out really targeted comms to these students so they know that there are events specifically for them to help them meet employers, and then also just through promoting it through our brand ambassadors as well, so making sure that all the students that use our platforms know who Trans in the City is, and so that whether it's anecdotally when they're having a conversation, or whether it's formally on the website, they can sort of show students the way to sign up to these events.
Amazing. So how can students get involved with RMP Enterprise? What do they need to do if they want to sign up and be involved and get access to some of this support that you offer?
Definitely. So there's a few different ways, but mainly through our online platforms. So Rate My Placement is our sort of flagship platform where most students will first interact with us. And we then have a brand called On Campus Promotions. And that's the brand that all of our brand ambassadors are hired through. So if you're a student and you're looking to work as a brand ambassador, then I'd highly recommend, well, Trans in the City, obviously, the Student Ambassador Program, first and foremost.
Of course.
But also looking at those two platforms for other work experience opportunities, where we'll also be highlighting the different streams.
Amazing. Yeah, I mean, at the moment, we've got 4 incredible lead ambassadors who were sort of they were our pioneers. They were the ones who we signed up early on to kind of communicate with us, and it was really important that we consulted with them on what they saw students needing. We didn't want to design a scheme that we thought was right. We wanted to make sure we had students involved. So as well as the lead ambassadors, we did some other consultation with organizations, but also with more students, to make sure we were creating something that was worthwhile, but was going to actually make the difference we want it to make, and that something was going to last. Because you make that point, Sagar, it's so often these schemes come, people get that support, and then for funding reasons or for whatever reasons, they disappear. And that can be really challenging, because people get that support for a year and then it just goes. And that's something we want this scheme to be sustainable. We're absolutely going to be looking to our sponsors to help that happen, and looking for other ways of making this financially resilient. But it is a scheme we want to make sure we're continuing. And we've also or 2 weeks ago, we've launched our mentorship scheme. And our mentorship scheme is really exciting. So that is connecting people right at the early stages of their careers with mentors. So what I kind of hope is in a few years' time, we'll have student ambassadors that have gone on to become lead ambassadors, that go on to be mentees as they start their work and they start their careers. And then 5 years down the line, they're the mentors and they're the ones who are leading that and supporting those coming up through the journey they've already been on. So that's my pipe dream. That's my hope, is that that's kind of what we see, and in 10 years down the line we can see that entire pathway has kind of connected and we see this happening. So I think we're pretty much coming to the end of our time now, sadly. I just want to say thank you again for both of you for talking to me, and really grateful that, Rory, you're going to be promoting and amplifying the scheme through your platform. And Sagar, again, my heartfelt thanks for the commitment and energy and passion you've already given to this scheme. And I think so often these designers are behind the scenes and we don't get to put a face to the name. And I'm really glad that we've had the opportunity to do that today. And I'm definitely looking forward to working with you more in the future. Any final words from either of you? Rory, any final words?
I mean, I think just really excited about this partnership and supporting as much as possible. We're a company of 65 people and we try and do our best to support different groups and make sure that every student has the opportunity to take that first step in their career. So thank you for all the work you're doing and for inviting me on. And Sagar, really nice to meet you. I can't wait to see this logo and imagery. I'm really excited.
We might have to give you a little sneak peek, Rory, and I may have to email it to you after this call, because it is amazing. And yeah, I'm so glad I've heard you talk about it. Sagar, any final words from you?
Oh, thank you for having me today at the podcast. It was nice to meet you both, and I hope to see this collaboration and also this organization, and also your pipe dream. You said your pipe dream. I want to see it as reality. I hope to see it grow. Yeah, and also hope to see it in my campus also, UL, so that I can see and I know them. I know them. Yeah,
You'll be seeing your logo on hoodies and tote bags walking around campus and being like, oh look.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
But I really hope that happens. I'm sure it will, actually. I'm sure it will. For anyone who's listening who wants to find out a little bit more, please head to our website. That's transformacity.co.uk. Hit on the go to the student ambassadors little button at the top, and you'll find ways of supporting. You can find a sign up form there for students if you want to get involved. You can also find our LinkedIn page, and that will give you ways of joining our Discord server as well. You can also email me at sarah@transformacity.co.uk. We're really looking forward. We know this scheme is going to change lives. We know it's going to have massive benefits, not just for the students, but for organisations as well, because you need these students working for you. You want these students working for you. They are incredibly talented, and I already know that. And we're really looking forward to connecting you with them. Thank you so much to our absolutely incredible guest, Rory, Sagar. You've been phenomenal, and can't wait to work with you more in the coming months and years. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us, and hopefully you'll join us for the next one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.